I am so happy the way this whole thing sequenced out because it's so cold out here this morning. And we got 3 days, people up in Chicago are freezing. We have 3 days of bitter cold weather. And you know what? I'm going to be down in the cellar. I have about 3 more days to finish up down there. And then I hope after that we'll be back out in the garage and start assembling this guy. I can't wait to get inside. Whoa. It's like a military operation in the morning. Flip the battery tenders over, especially when it's this cold. Just take a final look at the bikes in the garage before I head inside. Oh God, is it going to be good to get out of here today. You know, it's funny, we pay an average utility bill, a heating thing, and they just said our heating bill average just went down $22 a month. How can it go down in this temperature? The last thing before I get in the house, Luciano found some really cool looking shocks with the remote reservoir for his cafe project, and he's going to bring them over in the next couple days. We can see if they fit on any of my bikes. And of course these shocks have just under 50,000 miles on them, so if we can find some replacement shocks at a reasonable price, it might be a good investment for the well, this bike I've had since it's new, so to me it's still a new bike, but it's coming up on 50,000 miles. And he's going to bring his cafe seat, and I think that, well, he's got to bring the tank because I'm going to paint the tank. And I told him bring the shocks. Maybe we could even put a set of them on the RG. So anyway, I did replace those. This is the third set of shocks I've had on there, but I'm always looking to upgrade, and I'm always looking to get parts ready. Get the parts on deck for next year's restoration. And it reminds me, even when I was doing this bike, it wasn't even finished and I was already dreaming of the next one. It's a strange phenomenon. And the only thing left to do is chop the ice on the pond and get inside, buy that coffee, and then figure out how we're going to sequence up this day. Maybe it just feels a lot colder than it is out there with all that ice. Oh, it's just a mess. Yeah, the real feel is 17, but not in a cellar. It's 65 in the cellar. So I think I'll go down a cellar. Yesterday I got another milestone out of the way of getting those sockets mounted for the headlights and the running lights on the fairing. But that's why I guess I'll finish that part of it today. We have another split session. It's just unbelievable. Every day is getting like this. Part of the problem is my grandson hasn't been totally healthy for the whole winter, and we've been kind of helping out with these errands and chores and running to the store and babysitting extra. But it's something I work around without any problem. But today I want to concentrate on getting that lighting and getting it painted black inside that fairing. So this is probably my least favorite part of working on any restoration, and I'm going to have to do it today. So I'm going to have to get out the soldering equipment. I've got the pigtails on this. I got to strip these wires back. I want to put heat shrink tubing on it, and I want to solder all the joints. So what I want to have when I'm done with this job, I want to have that I can mount this inside the fairing. I may have to take the side fairing. It looks like I'm going to take the side fairing off, reach up, change the bulb. Now, everybody that's ever told me anything about these LEDs says they will last forever. To be honest, at one point in time, we got into LED craziness here, and we replaced a lot of the bulbs, even on the lighting in the main floor of the house, because Karen liked the idea that they were like brighter light, and this is before she had our cataract surgery. So the LEDs made her dealing with that low light condition better. Now these bulbs are really cool. I need to do this. I want to color code them so that the yellow ones have a yellow wire and the black is a ground. So I'm trying to do this like a professional. The only one problem, I hate wiring. I don't like wiring. I'll be honest about it. I wish somebody'd come over here and do this for me, but I found out that doesn't really happen that often. Now I learned years ago, never throw the connectors away. I have a bag of connectors. Never throw away certain things. And this at a day like today, now I'm glad I didn't, because I never know what I'm going to need. When I did the radar detector, I bought all these little snap connectors. I don't want to use these. What I want on this job, I want to have soldered wires that have heat shrink tubing on them. To be real honest, one of the reasons I don't really enjoy electricity, because I can't see it. I don't mind having a plumbing leak in a house. I can see the leak. I don't mind having a mechanical thing, but electricity has always baffled me. So I guess if you really want to see how to do this and do it even nice and neater than I'm doing it, but I do know this stuff will work. It's functional. It's old school to solder connections, but I'm old too. Now, I was so jealous. I watched this one of the motorcycle shows on cable TV, and one of the things was they were restoring a bike, and this guy comes to your house, some guy that's really good at wiring, and he brings all his wires and solder and everything, and he straightens out all the wiring on your bike, and I guess you take him out and get him drunk, or you know, I don't know. I wish we had such a guy here. We don't, and I'm not him. This reminds me the day Luciano was here one day. We were tracing down the wiring for the starter on the 750. We had an electrical problem, and we were out in the garage, and it was really funny. We finally figured it out, but I don't think we'd want to call ourselves electrical specialists. Now, what I did when I soldered this up, I did not put the shrink tubing on yet. Good sequencing, because every once in a while something doesn't jive. So I always want to test it before I do the heat shrink tubing. I color coded this wire to be white. Whoopee, it's white. I color coded this one to be yellow. Oh, it's yellow. So that probably means that I should go apply for my electrical license or turn myself in, one or the other. Now, my very old school way of doing this, I've cleaned these with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, and then I take just an ordinary plier and feel it with my hand to make sure that a lot of times when you make a solder joint, especially a butt joint like this, what happens is, and it's happened to me, so I know, one of those little things goes right through the heat shrink tubing and you get a short circuit. And then you go crazy, you have to call in the Marines, or you head right to the refrigerator for a 6-pack or something. Anyway, good old Harbor Freight shrink tubing for everything. And if nothing else, that'll protect it a lot better than electrical tape will. Then the final thing is another piece of heat shrink tubing over the 3 on the individual wires, and then that whole thing is nice and solid. Now again, because I'm not that guy that comes to your house and wires your bike for you, I know Vince is pretty good. Luciano's definitely pretty good. I know other people have talent for that, but boy, it's a talent I wish I had. But anyway, now that I'm done with all the heat shrink tubing, I do want to test each circuit again. This is just old school. And you know what this comes from? Building that model railroad that's in my attic. There's 100,000 wires under the table, and I got in the habit of every time you do something, just test it. That's why I keep the battery, the old R1 battery, and some alligator clips. So every step of the way I can test it. Now, I know I didn't mention it on this video yet, but these bulbs are available from superbrightleds.com. superbrightleds.com. And now this is ready to go. This is one more part of the restoration. It's done. I'll do this one off camera, of course. Get these two done, and if I do have enough time, plan out how I'm going to do that flat black inside the fairing. But on a day like today, getting this done, the sequencing is so important for me, because I hate being out when it's below 20 degrees. The garage is pretty miserable, no matter how many electric heaters you put out there. And being able to work in a cellar and get another part of the bike that we're definitely finished with it. I'll get this one done. This will take 10-15 minutes. I'll put away the electrical stuff, and it'll just be a question of then getting these onto the motorcycle once the fairing is mounted. I really do like these bulbs though. And by the way, you can buy these bulbs as taillight bulbs, where the brake light is so much brighter than a regular bulb. I think there's a safety factor, and I think the taillight bulbs are only half the price too. But these switchback bulbs, they were about 11 bucks a piece. SuperbrightLEDs.com. Thank you, John Pothier, who found that for me on the internet. And that's what's good about sharing all this information. I always say we're sharing our lives, and in reality, we really are. Always a happy time when at the end of a job I can check the circuits, got them both working. That can go away. I just love being done with the electrical work. When I put this away for the day, I get into doing work that I enjoy a lot more. I like this work is for people that enjoy it. I wish I enjoyed it more, but I don't. I don't even like doing the electrical work on the house from time to time. But hey, I got to pass on another good thing though. If you like bright lights in your living area, or you're reading, especially when Karen had her problem, the LEDs worked out great for us. I'm thinking in a roundabout way too, they saved some of our, on our electrical bill. But another trick. When I was all done with this, I didn't show this. I cleaned all the connections with isopropyl alcohol. This is all clean. So I know that, boy, would I love to have that guy come to my house and just buy him a pizza and do that. But it's done, and I can move on. And one of the other little details I want to take care of, I wanted to make a little piece of reflector so that, I guess, more of the reflector, it would make the bulbs even brighter. Remember, we use these for running light, headlight also. So I wanted to get something shiny, and I tried to figure out what would be shiny. I looked for a little piece of aluminum that I could polish up or whatever, and I thought, well, I have just the perfect thing, a baking pan. Now that's plenty shiny, and I can cut a piece up and form it to fit, and it'll act like a little reflector. See, the part on the other side has a reflector. I'm only missing the part on this side. So let's see if I can hand form up a little piece and just epoxy it in place. This actually, in the last couple of days, this part of the job, I had a lot of anxiety about doing this again because I really don't like electrical stuff. And it just came out perfect. And of course, the things I thought were going to be easy, but a lot of times you win when you should lose and lose when you should win. So one of the things I always enjoy, I don't know, maybe that's why I'm a shit saver, which I alluded to in the last video. I always love having something right in-house. I don't have to go buy, I don't have to go to Lowe's. And I had this beautiful little pan. It had this little curve in it, and it turns out that curve exactly fit on there. And all I need to do is just get a couple of drops of epoxy along there. I'll cut the other side out, and see, that'll make for a little bit nicer, neater thing. And then I'll be able to, when that epoxy dries, take the bulbs out, and I can then, the whole thing can be flat black painted inside. And it really is just handy that this worked out. You cut it with a scissor, and that curve is, you almost can do it by hand. You don't even have to, I didn't even make a pattern for this. Who knew? See, I always think that when it's your lucky day, there was a song, when you're hot, and when you're not. Well, this is about as easy as it gets. Just trimming this up. It's already got the little lip on it. It couldn't be any better than this. I'm just going to get a little 5-minute epoxy, let that dry. While it's dry, and have another cup of coffee, and this will be ready for the flat black at last. And that pretty much is going to finish up this part. I got to mount the reserve switch, but I wanted to get the part flat blacked first. And the point is, every time you can get one part finished and ready, now we've got the two fairing sides are done. The tank, I still need those little washers. I have to get them. And I did not want to take a chance using the old ones since we put so much time into that tank. And the seat is done, ready to be remounted. We have to polish some hardware. Oh, we've got other jobs, but boy, every time we finish one more step of this, I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see this come into fruition. Now I'm already making plans for, let me take this little cover off. As I said, some days it just works out so well. And I'm not really used to having too many things go well. But eventually they do. And when they're done, as you see in this project, we're getting one piece at a time done. I checked the weather again. It's supposed to be 3 full days of very, very cold temperatures. So, and again, my plan is always, when we have these temperatures, I try to plan on being inside. I'm just a coward, it's the bottom line here. Anyway, with the bulbs out, get these parts mounted up, and I'm going to have to babysit them. Oh, that stays in place. Actually, I can get the other one done too. Didn't realize that was going to be so lucky. It's my lucky day. I hate to think, if I got a lucky day, now how many unlucky days do I have coming up? Who knows? Anyway, I am very excited. I shouldn't say we. I am very excited about the way this is coming to fruition. Especially the paintwork. And the paintwork is something I really do enjoy a lot more than the electrical work. Yeah, they'll sit there. Bingo bongo. A really good little tip, and I just had to use it myself. I always keep either a paper towel or a rag with a little isopropyl alcohol, because what I did, I touched my finger to the part and I had some epoxy on it. The isopropyl alcohol will take that off without hurting the part. Now these parts are already on there. They're nice and solid already. So the next step on this is to get out the flat black paint and get a coat of flat black paint on this whole part. I'm not going to remove that bar yet, that spreader bar. I'll just work around it. But the rest of it is ready for a coat of flat black. We're using the same, I'll get the label, I can't even see the label. It's Ultra Cover Rust-Oleum Flat Black. This worked out great. It's water-based, and of course the objective here, I don't want to get anything. I want to do the outline of everything, try to get right up to the edge. I'll do this first, get all the edges painted, and then play like a, I ought to just leave that go for now. Go up to there. Because what I don't want to do, I don't want to look inside here, and I'd like this to just disappear. And number 2, I don't want to have any reflection when I'm cruising along. Of course, well within the speed limit. Anyway, this will be a half an hour or so to get this all painted in. We have had a spectacular day. Even though I've had some interruptions, you don't see them on TV. It's been a really productive day. I can't believe it. And I never know. That's the problem with when you sequence up a day like this, especially when you have to work around family stuff. You never know when it's going to be real productive. And today was. Anyway, this will be a really big upgrade getting this done. I am really happy with the way this is coming out. I say that over and over again, but I really am. Because there's a lot of times I'm disappointed. I have a picture in my mind about, like I'm dreaming about cafe racers now, and sometimes you have your heart set on something, and all of a sudden, it doesn't come out the way you thought it would. Anyway, this did come out the way I thought it would. Now the most important part of this is just before this paint dries, you clean paper towel and make anything. It really smooths that edge right out. Actually, it does a good job doing this. Of course, the other thing, you could mask it off, but I think this will be fine. And this is going to dry perfectly flat at the end. And anything that doesn't come off, just take a little compound on a microfiber. But so far, because I haven't let it dry yet, that's the whole key here. Got a little bit of paint on the outside there. And it's water-based paint. That would be a nightmare if you had urethane in it and a thing rolled down the finish or something. The water-based paint was a good choice. So this turned out to be a surprisingly good day. But I hope you enjoyed it. Look at the back of that. Flat black. Once that dries up, it'll be totally flat. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Boy, I can't wait to put this together.